Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to use the drop shadow tool. Now we can do this with shapes, with pictures, and we can do this with text as well. So I've just used the artistic text tool here. I'm going to make sure I've got this selected. At the moment it's trying to edit the text, so I'm just going to select the outside boundary of it, so I've got all of the writing selected. The drop shadow tool is based down here in the bottom left, so we click on it and then you can see we have various options along the top. Now, the simplest way is just to drag it about. Now, obviously we need to be very careful. If we were to pop the drop shadow way down here, it doesn't have any effect at all. It just looks like a second bit of text on the page. But just by offsetting it slightly behind gives that illusion of the text hovering off the page. Okay, so it's creating that sense of depth. So obviously I can just drag that about and put it wherever I want. So I'll just pop that in here like so. I quite like that at that angle. That gives the illusion that there's light coming from the top left here. I'll move down and I'll select this bit of text here and I'll click on the shadow tool. And then instead of having the lock to the center, I'm going to tell it to go from the bottom. And you can see straight away what's happened here. It's snapping the shadow to the bottom of the writing, and then what we can do is we can adjust the angle of where the shadow is going, as if the sun is moving across the sky and creating shadows. So it's quite a nice way of doing that, like so. I'm just going to leave that maybe somewhere about there, quite like that. So let's have a wee look at the last bit of text. So I'm just going to select it. I'll go down to the drop shadow tool, and this time I am going to go from the left, and you can see what's happening here. It's kind of creating a shadow that's coming out from the left hand side. And just to show you, there's a couple of wee edits that we can do with it. We can change the shadow color. So currently it's set to black. We can make it any color we want. So let's go for this pinky color, and you can see the shadow changes. And change it to literally any color you want. I'm going to go for a fairly dark green. And then at this stage, you can also look at changing the intensity of the shadow. So at the moment, we had quite a light shadow, but if I increase the intensity of the green, like so, you can see what's happening. If I just zoom in on it a little bit, you can see what's happening. I'm not really enjoying the look of this. It doesn't really look like shadow anymore, but we'll keep playing about with the settings at the moment. So that was us playing about with the intensity. That's 100%. Let's just drop that down to about 40. Now I could type in numbers here, so I could type in 10 if I wanted to. The other thing I can play about with is the opacity, so how see-through this shadow is. So obviously I crank it up, it has none, and then if I drag it down, you can see it's getting more and more transparent. I'm just going to pop it somewhere roughly in the middle here. And the last thing I'm going to look at is the blur settings. Just click and then drag this, and you can see what's happening to the point where you can't even tell it's a shadow. Just adjust that to whatever you want, like so. So there are lots of nice wee settings you can have in there. And I guess my main tip with the drop shadow is sometimes less is more. So I really like the one at the top. Yes, I could change the color, but on the whole, it works. It creates that sense of depth.